The stars twinkled silently as the Earth exploration ship Endeavour moved through deep space. Admiral Christopher Lane stood on the bridge, his gray eyes fixed on the main screen. After 6 months of exploring near Alpha Centauri, his crew was tired but hopeful. They had come farther than any human ship before them. "Admiral, we're picking up an unusual signal," said Lieutenant Maria Rodriguez, her fingers moving quickly across her control panel. "It's not like anything we've seen before." Lane walked to her station, his boots making soft sounds on the metal floor. "Show me," he said quietly. The signal patterns on her screen were strange, too regular to be natural, but unlike any human transmission. Before they could study it further, space itself seemed to tear open in front of their ship. A massive vessel, easily 5 times the size of the Endeavour, appeared through what looked like a hole in space. Its surface gleamed with a metallic purple color that no human ship had ever used. "All stations, battle ready," Lane ordered calmly, though his heart was racing. "But do not power weapons unless I give the command." More ships appeared, surrounding the Endeavour. They were different shapes and sizes, but all showed technology far beyond human capabilities. The crew waited in tense silence. A voice came through their speakers, speaking perfect English. "Human vessel, this is the Galactic Council First Contact Fleet. We have been watching your species development. The time has come for formal introduction." That was how humanity's greatest challenge began. The next few days were a blur of activity. The Council ships escorted the Endeavour to a massive space station hidden behind Jupiter. They had been watching humans for decades. Lane and a small team were invited aboard for initial talks. The Council chamber was enormous, with 7 different alien species represented. The Axtlar, who looked like tall blue humanoids, led the discussions. The Krith, who resembled large insects, took careful notes. The floating gas cloud Zen washed from their special environment chambers. 4 other species, the reptilian Saurans, the crystalline Lumini, the furry Volocks, and the plant-like Chlor, completed the council. "Your species has done well to reach this far," said first speaker Ixel of the Axtlar. "However, you are still very young. The council will guide your development." Lane noticed how the alien leader spoke down to them, like adults talking to children. He kept his face neutral, but his mind was working fast. "We appreciate the council's wisdom," he said carefully. "Earth looks forward to learning from you." But Lieutenant Rodriguez, who was part of the human team, saw something troubling. While everyone else was focused on the main discussion, she noticed how the Krith representatives were looking at data about Earth's military capabilities. Their antenna twitched in what she later learned was a sign of excitement when they saw details about human weapons. During a break in the talks, Rodriguez found a way to access a council data terminal. What she discovered made her blood run cold. The council wasn't just interested in guiding humanity. They wanted to control human expansion. Their plans included strict limits on human ships and colonies. Back on the Endeavour, Rodriguez shared her findings with Lane. "They see us as primitives," she explained, showing him the translated documents. "But they're also worried about how quickly we're advancing. The Council has never seen a species develop faster FTL travel in such a short time." Lane studied the information carefully. "They want to keep us contained," he said finally, "like putting a fence around a growing child, or a dangerous animal." "What do we do, sir?" Lane stood and looked out at the stars. The same stars humanity had dreamed of reaching for thousands of years. "We prepare," he said firmly, "but we do it quietly. Send a coded message to Earth Defense Command. Tell them we need to speak with Dr. Richard Bennett immediately." Over the next few months, humanity played a careful game. On the surface, they acted grateful for Council guidance. They accepted the gifts of basic technology and acted suitably impressed. But beneath this show of humble gratitude, humans were working frantically. Dr. Bennett, Earth's leading scientist in advanced physics, gathered a secret team. They studied every piece of Council technology they could access. Human ships began making regular trips to the Council station, each time carefully observing and learning. The Council members, except for a few careful observers like some Krith scientists, didn't notice anything unusual. As far as they could tell, humans were behaving exactly as expected, learning slowly, asking basic questions, and showing appropriate awe at advanced technology. But they had made a serious mistake. They had judged humanity by their current technology level, not by their potential. They didn't understand that humans had spent centuries dreaming of the stars, creating stories about space travel, and preparing mentally for meeting alien life. Most importantly, they didn't realize that humans had spent thousands of years learning to survive against stronger opponents. Humanity had evolved by overcoming challenges, adapting to new situations, and turning weaknesses into strengths. By the time the Council realized their mistake, it would be too late. The first sign that things weren't going as planned came 3 months after first contact. A Council inspection team visited Earth's main shipyard, expecting to see basic copies of the simple ship designs they had shared. Instead, they found that humans had already modified and improved the designs in ways the Council hadn't considered. "This is not the approved design," said the Axtler inspector, pointing at a new type of engine housing. "Oh, we found that your basic design works better if you adjust the plasma flow this way," the human engineer explained innocently. "It's still the same principle, just more efficient." The Council team left feeling uneasy, but they couldn't quite explain why. The humans hadn't broken any rules. They had just learned faster and thought differently than expected. Meanwhile, Dr. Bennett's team made their first major breakthrough. By studying Council shield technology, they found a way to improve it using principles the Council had never considered. The aliens had developed their technology in a straight line, each advancement building directly on the last. Humans, with their habit of thinking outside the box, tried combinations and approaches that the Council had never imagined. As the first year of contact drew to a close, humanity had already absorbed centuries' worth of technological advancement. But they were careful to hide their progress. Every time Council representatives visited, they saw exactly what they expected: a young species slowly learning to take its first steps into the galactic community. Lieutenant Rodriguez, however, kept finding troubling information. The Council was beginning to discuss stronger measures to control human expansion. Some members were worried about how quickly humans learned and adapted. One evening, as Lane looked out at Earth from the Endeavor's observation deck, Rodriguez brought him her latest discovery. "Sir, they're planning to implement travel restrictions within 6 months, she reported. "They want to limit how far our ships can go." Lane nodded, unsurprised. "How long until Dr. Bennett's new ships are ready?" "The first fleet will be completed in 4 months. But, sir, if we reveal them, it will mean direct conflict with the Council." "The Council made one fundamental mistake, Lieutenant," Lane said, his eyes still on Earth. "They thought they were dealing with a simple, primitive species that would be grateful for their guidance. They didn't realize they were dealing with a species that had spent its entire history overcoming challenges and breaking limits." He turned to face her, his expression determined. "Humanity doesn't do well with cages, Lieutenant. Even golden ones. Send word to Earth Defense Command. Tell them to accelerate the preparations. The Council wants to contain humanity's growth." He smiled slightly. "They're about to learn how impossible that is." As the Endeavor continued its patrol, appearing to all outside observers as just another simple human ship learning to navigate the stars, humanity was secretly preparing for a conflict that would change the galaxy forever. The Council thought they were safely guiding the young species. They didn't realize they were actually watching the rise of a galactic power that would soon earn the unprecedented designation of incredible in their war records. The stars continued to twinkle silently, giving no hint of the storm that was coming. 5 years had passed since humanity's first contact with the Galactic Council. Earth had changed greatly during this time. New buildings reached into the sky, built with materials learned from alien technology. Ships moved through space more easily than ever before. But beneath this peaceful surface, storm clouds were gathering. Chief Engineer Lisa Morris stood in her secret laboratory deep under the Rocky Mountains. Around her, screens showed the test results of her latest project. She smiled as she looked at the numbers. They were better than anyone had expected. "Run the test again," she told her team. "We need to be absolutely sure." The shield generator in the center of the room hummed to life. Energy rippled across its surface, creating a barrier stronger than anything the Council had ever built. Morris had taken their basic shield design and completely changed how it worked. Where Council shields tried to block attacks directly, her new design absorbed the energy and redirected it. A young technician rushed into the lab. "Chief, Council inspectors just landed at Denver Spaceport. They're asking to see our shield research facilities." Morris nodded calmly. "Activate Protocol Hide," she ordered. Within minutes, the lab transformed. Advanced equipment disappeared behind false walls. Screens changed to show only basic experiments. By the time the Council inspectors arrived, they would see exactly what they expected: simple humans struggling to understand basic shield technology. Meanwhile, in deep space, Captain Daniel Wright's ship drifted silently. His vessel looked like a regular cargo ship on the outside, but inside it was packed with advanced sensors and stealth systems. His mission was vital: find safe places for human colonies beyond Council space. "Another suitable planet, sir," his science officer reported. "Good atmosphere, water, no intelligent life, and far from any Council patrol routes." Wright marked the location in their secret database. In 5 years, his team had found 20 good planets for colonies. Earth was quietly sending ships and people to these worlds, always careful to avoid Council notice. But not everything could stay hidden forever. The first real trouble started at the Arcturus research station. Lisa Morris was there to install her new shields on Earth's newest ships. A Council science vessel arrived for what they called a friendly visit. As soon as they scanned the station, they noticed something wrong. "These energy readings are impossible," the Axtlar scientist said, checking his instruments again. "Your shields are operating at levels far beyond your technology level." Morris kept her face calm. "We've made some small improvements to your basic design," she said. "Nothing special." The Axtlar's blue skin darkened, a sign of anger. "Show us these improvements immediately." "I'm afraid it's classified Earth Defense Force technology," Morris replied firmly. The Council ship left quickly after that, but everyone knew things would change. Within days, the Council demanded that humans share all their military advances. They claimed it was for safety and proper development, but their real message was clear. They were worried about human progress. Earth's government refused politely but firmly. "Military technology is not covered by our development agreements," they said. The Council didn't like this answer. Lieutenant Rodriguez, now working at Earth's main intelligence center, noticed increased Council ship movements near human space. "They're preparing for something," she told Admiral Lane during a secure meeting. Lane had aged in the past 5 years, but his eyes were still sharp. "How long until the new colony on Wolf 359 is ready?" he asked. 3 more weeks to hide the last buildings underground," Rodriguez answered. "But sir, I found something else. The Council doesn't know about our quantum communications yet. They still think we rely on regular transmissions. They're planning to block our communications when they make their move." Lane smiled slightly. "Good. Let them think they can cut us off. Every mistake they make helps us." But not all humans were happy with these preparations for war. Some thought Earth should share everything with the Council and trust their guidance. Others worried about making powerful aliens angry. These debates happened in every city on Earth. The first real fight happened near the Arcturus system. A Council patrol found one of Captain Wright's hidden colony ships. The Council ship ordered them to stop. The colony ship pretended its engines were broken and drifted slowly away, right until it reached the edge of Council sensor range. Then it activated its advanced engines and disappeared before the Council ship could react. This made the Council very angry. They sent more patrols into human space. They demanded to inspect all human ships and stations. Each time Earth refused, tensions grew higher. Then came the day that changed everything. A Council battle fleet appeared near Mars, supposedly for training exercises. At the same time, Lisa Morris made an amazing discovery in her shield research. The new shields don't just stop attacks, she explained to Earth's leaders. They can reflect energy weapons back at the enemy. Nothing in Council records suggests they've ever seen technology like this. Admiral Lane called an emergency meeting with Earth's Defense Council. The Council ships near Mars aren't there for training, he said. Our intelligence suggests they're preparing to force us to accept their control. They think they can surprise us. The room was quiet as everyone understood what this meant. War was coming. Are we ready? Someone asked. Lane looked at the reports in front of him. Earth had built new ships in secret underground bases on the moon. The hidden colonies were nearly ready. Morris's new shields were better than anything the Council had. Captain Wright had mapped safe routes through unexplored space. We're as ready as we can be, Lane answered. The Council thinks they're dealing with simple students who have learned a few new tricks. They don't understand that humanity has spent the last 5 years preparing for exactly this situation. The next few weeks were very tense. Council ships moved closer to Earth. They demanded that humans stop all space travel beyond Mars. Earth agreed publicly, but kept secretly moving ships and people to the hidden colonies. Lisa Morris worked day and night to install her new shields on as many ships as possible. Captain Wright's scouts watched Council ship movements and found new safe routes. Lieutenant Rodriguez's intelligence team worked to stay ahead of Council plans. The Council thought they were being clever and secret. They didn't know that quantum communications let humans talk to their ships and colonies without being detected. They didn't know about the hidden fleets, the advanced weapons, or the protected colonies. They thought they were about to surprise a young, weak species. They were wrong. As the Council fleet grew near Mars, Admiral Lane sent a secret message to all Earth forces. Remember your training. Remember what we're fighting for. The Council thinks they know what humanity is capable of. It's time to show them how wrong they are. The Council was about to learn a hard lesson. Never try to cage a species that had spent its entire history breaking free from limitations. The storm was about to break, and nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same. The attack came at dawn, Earth time. Council ships appeared near every major human colony, their weapons ready. They expected quick surrenders from the primitive humans. They were wrong. Commander Susan Baker watched from her hidden base on Proxima Centauri's third moon as the Council fleet arrived. Her ships were powered down, hiding in caves beneath the moon's surface. The Council ships moved into position, thinking they had surprised the human colony. Let them get closer, Baker whispered, though no one could hear her through space. She had spent months planning for this moment. The Council always arranged their ships in the same formations, followed the same tactics. They never expected anything different. When the Council fleet was in perfect position, Baker gave the signal. Her ships didn't rise up to meet the enemy as they expected. Instead, hidden platforms on nearby asteroids activated Lisa Morris's new shield technology. But in reverse, the shields didn't just block energy. They created it. The Council ships suddenly found themselves trapped in a web of energy fields. Their own engines worked against them. While they were confused, Baker's ships rose from hiding and attacked from below, a direction Council ships never defended well. Remember the plan, Baker told her crews. Hit and move. Don't stay still. Don't fight the way they expect. The battle that followed shocked the Council commanders. Human ships didn't behave like proper warships. They darted in and out like swarms of angry bees. They used asteroids for cover. They seemed to appear from nowhere and disappear just as fast. By the time the battle ended, half the Council fleet had been destroyed or captured. The rest retreated in confusion. Similar scenes played out across human space as Council forces found their careful plans falling apart. Back on Earth, Dr. Paul Howard was ready with humanity's next surprise. In his laboratory under the Pacific Ocean, he showed Admiral Lane his new weapon. "We call them quantum-linked missiles," Howard explained. "They exist in two places at once. Fire one missile, and two appear. The Council's defense computers can't handle it. They try to stop one missile and get hit by its linked pair." Lane watched the test screens with satisfaction. "How many do we have ready?" "Enough to outfit our main battle fleet," Howard answered. "And the Council has no idea they exist." But the biggest surprise for the Council came from Major Catherine Collins and her Special Forces teams. While the Council focused on big space battles, Collins's teams slipped behind their lines in small, fast ships. "Council ships always protect their front," Collins explained to her troops. "So we don't attack from the front. We go where they don't look. We hit their supply lines. We cause confusion. We make them waste time and resources chasing shadows." Her teams proved incredibly effective. They would appear near Council bases, cause damage, and disappear before the Council could respond. They left false clues pointing in wrong directions. They spread confusion and fear throughout Council space. Lieutenant Rodriguez's intelligence work helped plan these raids. She had studied Council psychology for years. She knew they hated disorder and confusion. So that's exactly what Collins's teams created. "Look at their response times," Rodriguez showed Lane on a tactical display. "Every time we attack in an unexpected way, they take longer to react. They have to check with their commanders. They have to get permission to try new tactics. By then, we're gone." The Council had never faced an enemy like this. They were used to fighting proper battles with proper rules. Humanity didn't play by their rules. A month into the war, the Council tried to adjust their tactics. They studied human fighting methods and tried to copy them. But this was another trap. "By the time they figure out how to counter one of our tactics, we've already changed to new ones," Commander Baker explained to her crews. "They're always one step behind because they're trying to fight yesterday's battle." Dr. Howard's quantum missiles proved devastating. Council ships would detect one missile and activate defenses, only to be hit by its quantum-linked partner from a completely different direction. Council shield engineers couldn't understand how their perfect defenses were being bypassed. The Council's carefully organized supply lines fell apart under constant raids from Collins's teams. Their ships had to travel in large groups for protection, which made them slow and easy to track. Small human ships slipped through their patrol lines almost at will. But the Council still had more ships and more resources. They thought they could win a long war through sheer numbers. Once again, they had underestimated human creativity. Lieutenant Rodriguez discovered the Council's next big move through their own communication channels. "They're gathering a huge fleet," she reported to Lane. "They plan to hit Earth directly. They think if they can strike our homeworld, we'll give up." Lane called an emergency meeting with Earth's defense leaders. "The Council thinks this is their perfect chance," he said. "They gathered so many ships that they think we can't possibly stop them all." "What's our response?" someone asked. Lane smiled. "We let them come. In fact, we make it easy for them, because they're about to fly right into our perfect trap." The Council fleet gathered near Jupiter's orbit. It was the largest fleet ever assembled in Council history, over 1,000 ships. Their commanders felt confident. Surely humans would surrender when faced with such overwhelming force. But as the fleet approached Earth, something strange happened. Their sensors stopped working properly. Their ships started reporting impossible readings. Council commanders became confused and worried. This was Dr. Howard's newest creation, quantum field distortion. The space around Earth seemed to twist and change. Council ships couldn't trust their instruments. Some ships saw Earth where it wasn't. Others lost track of their fleet positions. Then Commander Baker's ships struck from multiple directions at once. Major Collins's teams appeared inside the Council formation, causing chaos. Dr. Morris's shield technology reflected the Council's own weapons back at them. The mighty Council fleet fell into complete confusion. Some ships fired at empty space. Others accidentally shot their own allies. Human ships seemed to be everywhere and nowhere. "This is impossible," one Council commander reported. "How can they be fighting like this? Where are they really attacking from?" But that was humanity's secret weapon: impossible thinking. Humans had spent centuries imagining impossible things and finding ways to make them possible. While the Council thought in straight lines, humans thought in circles and spirals and completely new shapes. The battle lasted less than 6 hours. When it ended, the greatest fleet in Council history had been defeated by a much smaller human force. The Council's confidence was shattered. For the first time in their long history, they faced an enemy they couldn't understand or predict. As the remaining Council ships retreated in disorder, Admiral Lane sent a message to all human forces: "This is just the beginning." The Council thought they could cage humanity. Instead, they forced us to show our true strength. Now, the real war begins. The stars watched silently as humanity proved, once again, that trying to limit them was like trying to hold back the tide with your hands. It simply couldn't be done. The war had been raging for 8 months when the first cracks appeared in the Council's unity. The Zen, the gas cloud beings who had always been the most thoughtful of the Council races, were the first to notice something important. "Humans don't fight like a young species," the Zen representative told a private Council meeting. "They fight like they've been preparing for war their entire history." The Zen were right. As Admiral John Martinez prepared for the Arcturus campaign, he thought about all the old battles he had studied in military school. Ancient wars fought on land, sea, and air. Every human commander knew these lessons from the past. Martinez stood on his command ship, looking at the battle plans. The Arcturus system was important to the Council. They had many supply bases there. Taking it would be hard, but Martinez had a plan that went back to old Earth naval warfare. "The Council thinks space is like an ocean," he told his officers. "But they only think about moving forward and back, up and down. They forget about what's above and below the ocean." His plan was simple but clever. Most of his fleet would attack normally, making the Council think it was a standard battle. But he had special ships waiting in hyperspace, like submarines under the sea. When the Council committed their forces, his hidden ships would appear behind them. The Council didn't know that humans had improved hyperspace technology. They thought ships could only jump to certain points, like stepping stones across a river. But Dr. Laura Phillips had changed that. In her lab at Earth Defense Command, Phillips worked with advanced AI systems. She found a way to make hyperspace jumps more flexible. Human ships could now appear almost anywhere. "The Council's tactics are too perfect," Phillips explained to Admiral Lane. "Their ships move in exact patterns. That makes them predictable. Our AIs can calculate where they'll be and put our ships in the perfect position to strike." The Battle of Arcturus showed how much things had changed. When Martinez's main fleet attacked, the Council responded exactly as expected. They moved their ships into standard defense formations. They thought they had the humans trapped. Then Martinez's hidden ships appeared behind them, firing from impossible angles. The Council fleet tried to turn and fight, but their formations fell apart. The battle became chaos, and humans were very good at fighting in chaos. "Keep them confused," Martinez ordered. "Don't let them reorganize." The Council lost over 200 ships at Arcturus. More importantly, they lost their main supply base for that sector of space. The Arcturus campaign became famous across the galaxy as an example of human military thinking. After Arcturus, 3 Council species, the Zen, the Lumini, and the Volaks, secretly sent messages to Earth. They wanted to talk about peace. They had seen enough to know that this war was not going as planned. Lieutenant Rodriguez discovered something interesting in Council communications. "The Council races are arguing with each other," she reported. "The Axtlar want to keep fighting. The Krith aren't sure. The others are talking about breaking away from the Council completely. This was a huge change. The Council had been united for thousands of years. Now humans had done what no other species had managed. They had made the Council question itself. Dr. Phillips's AI systems kept giving humans more advantages. They could predict Council ship movements so well that human ships often arrived at battle locations before the Council ships got there. How do they always know where we'll be? A Council commander demanded after another defeat. It's like they can see the future. In a way they could. Phillips's AIs had studied years of Council tactics. They knew how Council commanders thought. They could calculate likely moves and reactions with amazing accuracy. The biggest test came at the Battle of Sirius. The Council gathered another huge fleet, even bigger than the one they had sent to Earth. They thought that with enough ships, they could overcome human tactics. Admiral Martinez led the human fleet. He had fewer ships, but he had something better: freedom to think differently. Council ships had to follow strict rules about formation and attack patterns. Human ships could do whatever worked best. The Council thinks war is about having the most ships. Martinez told his crews, "We know it's about using our ships in the best way." The Battle of Sirius lasted 3 days. It was the largest space battle anyone had ever seen. Council ships fought bravely, but they couldn't match human flexibility and creativity. Martinez used everything humans had learned. Ships appeared from hyperspace at impossible angles. Quantum-linked missiles confused Council defenses. AI systems predicted enemy movements. Small, fast ships darted between the huge Council warships, causing chaos and confusion. When the battle ended, the Council fleet retreated in disorder. They had lost over half their ships. Human losses were much smaller. But something even more important happened during the battle. Council ships started refusing orders. Some captains decided to retreat without permission. Others tried new tactics without asking their commanders. "They're learning to think for themselves," Rodriguez noted. "They're starting to fight more like us." The Council leaders were shocked. This had never happened before. Their perfect military order was breaking down. More Council ships began acting independently, making their own decisions instead of just following orders. After Sirius, the Zen publicly announced they were leaving the Council. The Lumini and Volox followed soon after. The 3 species signed separate peace treaties with Earth. "We have watched humans carefully," the Zen ambassador said. "They are young, yes, but they are not primitive. They think in ways we have forgotten. Perhaps it is we who need to learn from them." The remaining Council species faced a hard choice. They could keep fighting a war they were losing, or they could accept that humans were stronger than they had thought. Admiral Lane received a message from the Axtlar High Command. They wanted to talk about ending the war. The message showed how much things had changed. The Axtlar, who had once talked down to humans, were now asking for peace talks as equals. As Martinez looked out at the stars from his command ship, he thought about how much had changed. "The Council thought they were teaching us," he said to his officers. "Instead, we taught them something important. Never judge a species by their age or their technology level. Judge them by their ability to think, to adapt, and to overcome challenges." The war wasn't over yet, but everyone could see where it was heading. Humanity had proven itself in a way that would change the galaxy forever. The Council's perfect order had been broken, replaced by something new, something that allowed for growth, change, and different ways of thinking. The stars seemed to shine brighter, as if they too knew that a new age was beginning. The end began with the fall of Centaurus Prime. The massive Council base had stood for over 1,000 years, a symbol of their power and order. Now it faced the full might of humanity's new way of fighting. Commander Susan Baker led the attack, using everything humans had learned during the war. Her ships appeared from hyperspace in places the Council thought impossible. Dr. Phillips's AI systems predicted every Council move before they made it. Major Collins's special forces had already slipped into the base's defense network. "Remember," Baker told her crews, "we're not just fighting to win. We're fighting to show them why they should never have underestimated us." The battle lasted just 6 hours. Council defenders fought bravely, but they couldn't match human adaptability. Every time they adjusted to one human tactic, the humans switched to something new. When Centaurus Prime fell, something changed in the galaxy. The remaining Council species finally understood what they were facing. Humans weren't just lucky or tricky. They were showing a completely new way to think about space warfare. Admiral Lane received the surrender message in his office on Earth. The Council's words were very different from their first meeting 5 years ago. Gone was the condescending tone. Gone were the assumptions about human limitations. We request immediate peace talks. The message read, "We acknowledge humanity as equals and recognize their right to independent development." Lieutenant Rodriguez brought more interesting news. "Sir, the Council's official war records have been updated," she reported. They've classified human military capability as incredible, the first time they've used that word in 10,000 years of record keeping. Lane smiled at this. The Council had many words for rating other species' capabilities: primitive, developing, advanced, and so on. But incredible was special. It meant they had seen something they couldn't fully understand. The peace talks were held on neutral ground, a space station built by the Zen, who had already made peace with Earth. Dr. Laura Phillips attended with her latest AI analysis. "The Council's whole system is changing," she explained to Lane before the meeting. "Their species are starting to think more independently. They're questioning old rules. In a way, this war has changed them as much as it changed us." The Council representatives arrived in their traditional formal way, but something was different. They moved more freely, spoke more directly. Some even showed interest in human ideas. "We have studied your battles," the Axtlar speaker said. "You achieved things our military theorists said were impossible. We want to understand how you think." Lane remembered their first meeting, when the Council had talked down to humans like children. Now they were asking humans to teach them. The change was amazing. The peace talks went well. The Council agreed to recognize all human territories, including the secret colonies Captain Wright had established. They accepted that humans would develop their own technology without Council oversight. Most importantly, they agreed to treat humans as full equals. But humanity asked for one more thing: a change to how the Council itself worked. "The old way of absolute control and perfect order has to end," Lane told them. "The galaxy needs new ideas, new ways of thinking. We propose a new Council system where all species can contribute their own ways of doing things." The Council members were quiet for a long time after this suggestion. For thousands of years, they had believed their way was the only right way. Changing that belief was hard. Finally, the Axtlar speaker stood. "We have seen what happens when we ignore new ideas," he said. "We agree to these changes." Dr. Bennett, who had started Earth's secret technology program years ago, attended the final signing ceremony. He watched as Admiral Lane signed the historic Earth Council Accord of 2166. "Did you ever think it would end like this?" Rodriguez asked him. Bennett shook his head. "When we started, we just wanted to protect Earth. We never imagined we'd end up changing the whole galaxy." The changes happened quickly after that. The Council reformed itself into a new organization where all species had equal voice. They started learning from each other instead of just following old rules. Lisa Morris's shield technology was shared with other species, but they had to figure out how to think differently to use it properly. Dr. Phillips's AI systems helped Council ships learn new ways of moving through space. Even Major Collins's special forces started training groups from other species in human-style tactics. Captain Wright's exploration ships, now operating openly, found new worlds and new opportunities. But they weren't alone anymore. Ships from other species joined them, each bringing their own ways of thinking about space exploration. The Council's official records were updated one last time. A new section was added, titled "The Human Influence." It read, "In all our history, we never faced a species like humans. They showed us that true advancement comes not from following perfect rules, but from being willing to think in new ways. Their designation as incredible is not just about their military power. It is about their ability to change how we see the galaxy. Admiral Lane stood on the observation deck of Earth's new space station, watching ships from all species moving peacefully through space. Some followed the old orderly council patterns. Others moved in the more flexible human style. Many tried new ways that combined both approaches. Rodriguez joined him at the window. "The galaxy's changing fast," she said. "Some days I can hardly recognize it." "Change is what humans do best," Lane replied. "We never stop looking for new ways to do things." Now we've taught that lesson to the galaxy. A group of young aliens, Axtlar, Krith, and others, passed by the window. They were talking excitedly about new ideas, new possibilities. They moved with the freedom of people who knew they could try new things. "That's our real victory," Lane said, watching them. "Not defeating the council in battle, but showing them a new way to live. They thought they were coming to teach us, but we ended up teaching them something more important. Never stop growing, never stop changing, never stop imagining new possibilities." The stars shine down on a galaxy that was very different from 5 years ago. The perfect order of the old council was gone, replaced by something more chaotic, but also more alive. Ships moved in new patterns, species worked together in new ways, and new ideas spread across space. And at the center of all this change was humanity, the species that had gone from primitive to incredible in just 5 years. They had done it not by following the council's rules, but by showing that rules were made to be questioned, that barriers were made to be broken, and that the best way to face the future was to never stop thinking about new ways to do things. The galaxy would never be the same. And that was exactly what humanity had wanted all along.